Hello everyone, my name's Jo Nockles and I'm a qualified accountant working for Tax Assist Accountants. We're here today to talk about the government support that's available for business owners paying business rates. Now, there are quite a few changes to be aware of, and really as business owners we ought to be looking at how we can conserve cash, and so it's really important that we take advantage of all the schemes and concessions that are available to us. So I'm going to go into these in more detail individually in just a moment, but these are the headlines that we ought to be aware of. So small business rates relief, if we qualify for that, we're in for a £10,000 grant. Nurseries are in for a holiday potentially. Businesses operating in the retail, hospitality and leisure trade, now look, we're in for potentially a holiday and some grants, although they vary depending on the rateable value of the property. So, as I promised, let's look at these individually. So, small businesses potentially in for a cash grant. So, these are going to apply to any business that was in receipt of small business rate relief or the rural rate relief, and that will apply to the data as at the 11th of March. Now, this measure was originally announced as part of the budget 2020 on the 11th of March, and so you may hear the figure of £3,000 bounded about, but obviously the situation with the coronavirus in the UK has escalated quite quickly, and so the government has since increased the level to £10,000, as we can see on the slide there. So who potentially qualifies for this small business rates relief grant then? So the question really is, do you qualify for small business rates relief? Now that normally is given to businesses with property value, rateable value of under £15,000. Now, not everybody will be aware of what their rateable value is, so I'd recommend that you dig out your bill for business rates, and it should say on there whether you're qualifying for small business rates relief. You should see a line on your invoice. Alternatively, it will also state on there your rateable value on that invoice. And failing all of that, the other thing you can do is actually check your rateable value with the valuations office. So if you hop on to the internet and search for check my rateable value online, hopefully that will take you to the VOA or the relevant gov.uk page. There are a few exclusions, so this really is aimed at businesses. So there are some exclusions regarding personal property. So we've got a few examples here of private stables, beach huts and moorings. It also doesn't apply to car parks and parking spaces. And businesses that were in liquidation or dissolved at the 11th of March will also be excluded, which makes sense because they won't be traded. So what do you need to do to take advantage of this grant then? Well, absolutely nothing. So the theory is that central government will be liaising with local government because, they hold all the keys with regards to the data and who currently qualifies for small business rates relief. So it makes sense for them to administer it. So your local authority or local council should be reaching out to you to confirm that they still have the correct details for you and that the business is still trading. Once they have this information, they'll check it and the grant should be subsequently awarded. Now, we're based in Norwich, and I'm aware that there are councils in the west of East Anglia that have already made payments, and indeed I checked on my own district of North Norfolk, and it said that businesses had been written to via email and text actually on the 4th and 5th of April. So I thoroughly recommend that you check your local council website. If you'd like some bedtime reading, there is a document on the government website that just describes the scheme in a bit more detail. Now, just a bit of a Q&A. If your business is empty, do you still have to pay empty rates? Now, there have been no changes on this issue of empty rates at the moment, so we presume it's business as usual at this stage. Okay, so no, now in for this business rates holiday. So this is for nurseries in England, and the holiday will apply to the tax year 2021. That runs from April 2020 through to March 2021 and means you'll pay absolutely nothing during that period. Okay, so in terms of who qualifies for the holiday then, as we said before, the business must be based in England, and they should be providers listed on the Ofsted's early years register, and they will be providing early years foundation stage education. So what do you need to do to access this holiday? Well, again, absolutely nothing. Now, because we are in April already, you may have already received your bill for rates from your council. So it's likely that they're going to reissue those and show the 100% relief. If you'd like some more guidance on that, there is a document on the government website. Now, let's move on to the retail, hospitality and leisure sector. There are a few changes here. Firstly, there's a holiday for 2020-21. So again, that's April 2020 through to March 2021. And this applies to retail, hospitality and leisure businesses. So the definition broadly is things like shops, hotels, restaurants. There are some exclusions. We saw these in the small business rates relief area as well. So it's really targeted, it's really aimed at business owners. So personal, property with personal use is excluded, such as stables, beach huts, moorings, car parks. And again, any businesses that were in liquidation or dissolved at the 11th of March. So what do you need to do? Well, this is much like the holiday for the nursery. So again, nothing. It's quite likely that the council will have to reissue your invoice because they'll now need to show the 100% relief again. Now, I would actually recommend this bedtime reading because if you're a bit unsure about whether you meet the definition of a business operating in retail, hospitality and leisure, this does have some more examples, so worth a read there. Okay, so that was the holiday then for the retail, hospitality and leisure trade. Let's have a look at the cash grant. Okay, so we've got different tiers here depending on rateable value. So if your rateable value is under £15,000, you're eligible for a grant of £10,000. And that figure of £10,000 looks familiar, doesn't it? Because that was also the figure for small business rates relief recipients as well. If you've got a rateable value of £15,000 to £51,000, then here we're looking at a grant of £25,000. And unfortunately, if you've got a rateable value over £51,000, then you won't be eligible for this grant. So who qualifies then? Again, because this is business rates, it only applies to England. The Wales and Scotland, what have you, are likely to have their own rules. You've got to be operating in that retail, hospitality and leisure sector, and you need to have a rateable value of under 51,000. So what are the definitions then for retail, hospitality and leisure? So this is the same list as we saw before with regards to the holiday, so shops, hotels, restaurants, that sort of thing. And again, same exclusions here. So this again is geared at businesses. So if the property is being used for personal use, such as moorings and beach huts, it won't qualify. Likewise, car parks and parking spaces, and again, those businesses that were already dissolved or 11th of March. So what do you need to do? Well, again, nothing. I like that word. What do I need to do? Nothing. Local authority should be reaching out to businesses that it deems are eligible. So here's some further guidance if you'd like it. This also includes the small business rates relief grant as well. Now, again, a Q&A here. So what about if you qualify for small business rates relief and you operate in the retail, leisure and hospitality sector. Are you going to get both grants? Well, sadly not. Only one will be awarded. I think the small business rates relief will trump the retail, hospitality and leisure. That remains to be seen. Either way, you're only going to get the £10,000 once, not twice. So just to close then, if you are really struggling and you're not eligible for anything there, first of all, just check that you don't qualify for small business rates relief. Now, sadly, as we said, the eligibility will be assessed based on data at the 11th of March 2020. So if you apply for small business rates relief now, you won't retrospectively receive this grant. Okay. However, small business rates relief is a really good wheeze. So if you do qualify for it, you'll feel the effects there. It's very positive. If you don't qualify for anything else and you are struggling financially, I would encourage you to get in touch with your local authority. I know that they are very approachable and being as amenable as they can be at the moment. So they may agree to setting up a payment plan. In terms of the next steps then, I would encourage you to understand exactly what you might qualify for. And the reason I suggest doing that is because it's a good idea to get a handle on what your cash flow demands will be and also what your income's likely to be. So it's a great, be really good to understand if you are going to qualify for any grants, that, when these are going to come through so that you can sort of build those into your budgets. Do please keep an eye out on your on the website of your local council because they'll be releasing details. And as I said, it's the local councils that will be administering these reliefs and grants and what have you. So each process might be slightly different from council to council. So do please check their website. And once you've done that, make sure you keep an eye out on the post and what's coming through via email. And as you heard, our own council's doing it via text message. So, make sure that you're checking junk boxes and things aren't going into the spam box.